What's up, everybody? This is the Anime Squad podcast, episode 34. My name is RWBY.
And this is David.
And as you can see, Omar's not here again. It's okay. The show must go on. It'll just be us two. And of course, before we start, don't forget to like our video, comment the video, and subscribe if you guys want to see more of our stuff. Feel free to check us out each week, and we'll be right here. And to get this show on the road, we're going to be starting off with RWBY Season 8, Episode 4. And this episode had a lot more going on in terms of content. We get to see the chase to Oscar with the what are those called again?
The what?
The beasts that they fight. Yeah, the Grimm. So we see the Grimm capturing Oscar, and we see Yang, Ren, and John trying to chase him down with not that great. How should I put it? Results. They didn't really do a great job in trying to get him down or anything like that. The Grimm was able to escape, and unfortunately, unrest yields within the group. Ren gets at Yang for basically talking about a lot of, like, he's a Debbie Downer, but for like good reasons. Like a lot of what happened in the past couple seasons have not been too great. So unfortunately, and Yang is just trying to justify what's going on and stuff. And obviously there's gonna be some bumpy hills on the road, but Ren's not having any of that. John's trying to be the middleman, but he gets attacked by Ren verbally.
That was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was not great, not looking great for this team. Team RWBY also had some stuff too, but RWBY and crew, they just take Nora to Weiss's house, and that's pretty much where they ended off with them. And then we also get to see Salem also, since Oscar got taken over to Salem's lair. Salem was basically interrogating him, torturing him by any necessary means, and trying to get the lamp to work or anything of that sort. It's not looking great for our boy Oscar. And meanwhile, Cinder's trying to
she's trying to go back to get the maiden.
Yeah, she's trying to get the winter, because that's literally all they need. They need the Winter Maiden, which is pretty much the last piece that they need, and that was pretty much.
Yes, Salem said no.
Yeah,
wait.
Salem's like, nah, you wait. You did your piece. You weren't good enough. You tried, but you're not good enough. I'm just gonna keep this Grimm right here, this experiment right here, and he's basically gonna do your guys' job for me. He's doing great so far. And you guys not so much, so be gone.
I didn't. It was like whatever's about the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
When they were in prison.
Oh, when they showed Crow in them, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, but not much else happens. I mean, like I said, this episode has more going on in terms of content, but like it's just stuff that we were just kind of we kind of figured would happen, because especially since Oscar got kidnapped last episode, it was just basically a continuation of them trying to get him back. But again, keyword being trying.
I felt like
didn't really work.
Like last episode was Nora.
Yeah.
And then this episode was Ren.
Was Ren, yeah. And especially considering that everything that's been going on has been gone wrong. So Ren, very justifiably speaking, is like upset and like just like, well, why is this happening? It's not why is this happening, but like, of course it's happening, because we're not even trained hunters. We're just kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything that's going on is just not great, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next episode. All right, now next anime we're gonna be talking about is Onyx Equinox, episode 2. Our main character, Azel, he's brought back to life from what we saw last episode, but this time we get to see more context behind it. The panther that I guess we kind of saw glimpses of last episode is fully fleshed out, and he has a name too hard to pronounce, so I'll just leave it on the screen here. For now, we're just gonna call him Panther, or Panther Man, or whatever. But basically, he's the servant of the volcano guy. Of the again, another name that's super hard to pronounce. David, do you know how to pronounce those? Okay,
no.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure. And yeah, so basically the part of the bet that the Panther plays is obviously trying to raise that hero, trying to pick that hero, and then also raise him into the champion that he needs to be. And he picks our boy Azel. Unfortunately, he's not having any of that because obviously, understandably speaking, his sister, was killed, and his whole world was pretty much about his sister. And because of that, he doesn't really find any reason to want to live anymore. He was saved at the bottom of the well, but he just keeps wanting to go back into the water to drown himself. But the Panther's like, no, you stay right here. You're gonna be the champion. You're gonna beat humanity needs you. So the vibes that I get with like the Panther and like Azel, it reminds me of like Gohan and Piccolo, when like Piccolo first like raises Gohan and like tries to train him in order to fight the Saiyans. It kind of reminds me of that, where he basically has until like the new moon to basically get his shit together and like try to train for the arrival of the cataclysm, against the underworld gods. But again, Azel doesn't want to have any of that. He just wants to properly die so he can see his sister in the afterlife. Unfortunately, a lot of that is cut short because as Azel is running away, he bumps into a creepy crawly, weird looking bug monster that doesn't want to have anything to do with him. And it turns out that bug monster is actually one of the 4 guardians that Azel needs to defeat. Through sheer luck, I'd like to say, he encounters a dagger, and he used that dagger to kind of swipe some stabs at him. And he promptly loses that dagger and just runs away and uses the surrounding environment to just basically crush the beast in pieces.
Oh, he was running away?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, like, he was kind of like running. He was kind of luring because, again, the architecture around the well was changing. It was kind of like moving around and stuff. At first, I thought that the hole that Azel was kind of about to fall into, I thought it was gonna be a portal to like lead him somewhere else. But nah, it was just architecture changing around, and like again, the bug monster was trying to hunt him down.
Well, that was to close the, what do you call it? The portal to the underworld.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense. I figured it was a portal because it looked, the way the shape looked a lot like a portal. It's just because like nobody went inside. I was like, oh, maybe it's not a portal. But yeah, so the bug monster gets crushed by the opening of that portal, and then the entire well just collapses. And right when you think that Azel was gonna get eaten, I guess he does get eaten, but the monster was just killed in the process, and he was able to escape. But unfortunately, Azel still wants nothing to do with this whole hero champion shenanigans, so he leaves, or I guess Panther yeets him off, and he goes back to the village, and the villagers kind of found something weird about him. So at first, of course, Azel goes back to his childhood home. He's just upset. Everything. He destroys like all the mementos and like everything about his sister. And then right when a kind elderly woman comes in to console him, she jumps back in horror because seeing
was, the same lady that she sold the corn to.
Yeah, from the first episode.
Yeah.
And she's horrified looking at Azel's eyes, because apparently the eyes that he possesses now are the eyes of the underworld, and is known to be a curse amongst his people. So obviously he was ostracized by his people. Nobody wants anything to do with him, with his green eyes.
Chuck the rocks.
Yeah, chuck the rocks. You get out of here. You'll bring misfortune to us, and all the shenanigans. And Azel is no longer wanted in his village, all thanks to Panther. And
the gods.
And the gods. So the last thing before he leaves with his I wouldn't say his buddy, but I guess his guardian, is what can the gods bring my sister back? I mean, they can do anything. All Panther says is the gods can do anything. The bringing back a person is a nothing task for them. And with that, Azel finally has a goal in his new life, to basically slay the other guardians and bring his sister back. And that's how the episode ends.
Or pretty much close the other 3 gates.
Yeah, close the other 3 gates, and then help your sister come back. So we don't know how this is gonna go. There's still a whole series to go through, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how our boy Azel handles things.
Yep.
And next episode we're going to be talking about is Fire Force Season 2, Episode 22. And last we saw was Ritsu basically planting basically going through the final steps of her plan of turning a whole lot of Company 2's men into Infernals and promptly blowing them up was her diabolical plan, and by destroying the Nether, as well as destroying a good chunk of Tokyo. How are we going to stop it? No! And obviously the solution that they came up with was to find a second generation that has the ability to manipulate fire. How are we going to do that? Well, we need Maki in order to do that, and Maki's not here. Thankfully, Vulcan had a communicator to communicate to Maki in case anything happens, and surely enough, she was right there. Maki's brother's not having any of that though, so obviously with some good old style anime convincing, he was like, okay, fine, you can do this one thing, but hey, it's dangerous.
Cause she's a girl.
Yeah, she's a girl, you can't do that, you're a girl. But obviously, she has to prove herself, make sure that she can get everything done. I do like that one little bit though, like as they were mentioning, like what would happen if everybody were to if the whole Nether were to blow up. The only survivor would be Tamaki, because Tamaki with her 3rd generation abilities is like the only one that could actually withstand fire. She's like, no, I don't want to be the last remaining survivor again. So hey, at least Tamaki's good for something. She's able to survive fire. That's cool. But yeah, so Maki does her thing. She tries to quell the fire, and she does it spectacularly. Like everything, like all the exploding infernals go off, and with the help of her and her brother, because I guess her brother can be able to channel his energy into her, they're able to quell that explosion and basically neutralize it. So everything went well, except Ritsu's like, wait, what happened to the boom? Where'd the boom go? And Dr. Giovanni, on the other hand, he's like, oh, I guess they failed. And I love that little bit where like where Shinra had no idea like what the hell was going on. He was like literally like, I don't know what's going on, but I think we won. So we are going a little bit out of order with this. I'm just basically kind of explaining each scenario kind of like as its own thing. But meanwhile, with Dr. Giovanni, as they're fighting, as he's basically become an insectoid man, explains to Shinra regarding what happened to Sho. And Shinra is not too happy because Giovanni explains to Shinra that Sho is basically our obedient puppet now. He's at the site where we want him to be as the pillars, as obviously all the pillars are going to be sacrificed eventually. And we also see Sho finally for the first time in the whole season, right when the season's about to end, where he's a mindless puppet and he's basically a dress-up doll for Haumea. And Archer's just there watching. It's just a torture sesh for Archer, because she's seeing the person she's protecting just being a doll. So yeah, Sho does not have any of that. He's using his Adela burst to punch the living hell out of Giovanni, kick him, whatever. And right when Dr. Giovanni's like, "Hey, how are you doing that? Who are you Adela linking with? Are you able to hear my thoughts?" And Shinra's like, yeah, I'm able to hear your thoughts. And Dr. Giovanni was just having a field day. He was super excited. He was like a little kid at a candy store where he was just like, "Oh my god, I had an Adela link. I'm getting closer to the Adela burst. Ah!" So yeah, so he's having a field day. He's super excited, and that basically made his day. So with that, he could just easily just leave. But right before he does that, though, Arthur literally shuts his brain off and slices Giovanni in two. and right when he was like, "Oh shoot, I could be able to read minds and stuff, because I could be able to predict where the hell you guys are going and everywhere." But yeah, Arthur just shuts his brain off and just cuts him in half. No problem. But of course, because Dr. Giovanni is an insect man now, he could just kind of crawl his way out and just leave. That's kind of what he's been doing the whole series so far, where he just kind of has a battle, says the thing, and he just leaves. So yeah, so he does that, and we see the aftermath of what happened, and it turns out Juggernaut survived. Yeah. He lost an arm and a leg.
He became
the Full Metal Alchemist.
In a way, like a potato.
He says like he could. No, I think they said that he can tend to his potato feels again, because you saved it. Because the company 2 leader says that, you the brigade, he tells Tamaki that you saved him. He could be able to tend to his potato fields again, and then she mentions that no, he saved me, because if it wasn't for him, I'd be dead right now. Damn. And yeah, so Tamaki feels bad about that,
and then our boy over here giving the speech.
Yeah, Obi. Yeah, he gave his speech regarding how the Fire Force is for the people and everything, and yeah, it's it was a loss, but with every loss comes the second wind.
They saved the city.
Yeah, and then they saved the city, and Maki's back. Maki is back, and she becomes a platoon leader, which doesn't mean much, because the Fire Force Company 8's it's not big enough to have a platoon. So it's just a title more than anything. But hey, I mean, anything's better than nothing, right?
She's back.
Yeah. And with that, that's the end of the episode. It was a nice resolution to everything that happened, and I don't know what they're gonna do next, because there's only like a few episodes left. So I'm guessing there's probably gonna be filler, not no like major arcs or anything. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
And the next anime we're going to be talking about is Adachi to Shimamura, episode 8. Of course, another adorable episode. This one focuses on Adachi with a love guru in her mind, which I thought at first it was like some TV that she was watching, but I guess it was like her inner love guru giving her tips, all while destroying herself in the process, giving Adachi tips on how to be cooler, I guess, how to be more approachable to Shimamura. She tries a lot of different things. She tries to, change up her hairstyle. She tries to be more quirky. She tries a lot of different things. He calls up Shimamura. It's like, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing, girl?" All that different stuff. But to her, it has varying degrees of success. she notices that like Shimamura is still kind of acting the same, you know, not really getting the results that she wants. And because she's very self-conscious too, like Adachi's thinking like, oh man, I'm making a fool out of myself by doing all this stuff. But you know, she wants to get closer with Shimamura. She wants to do what she can. You know, she wants to settle her feelings of the butterflies that she has in her stomach when she's around her. You know, it's you know, kind of what's going on with that. All while that's going on, we see more scenes with Yachi, and one where she's casually floating around, and the mom's like, "Oh, you have sparkles in your hair," and Shimamura's like, "Oh, that is that really the thing that you're just focusing on? Just not her flying?" I like how that gets wholly nullified immediately. Like nobody even cares. And then like, you know, all that's going on, and then we also see like again an extension of kind of what we saw in the end of the last episode with Tarumi. And she just wants to get closer with Shimamura again. She wants to be friends with her again, want to reconnect and everything. And at first I was thinking it was going to be like a love triangle, but it's actually not really much of a love triangle, really, you know, at least the way I see it. It's just a friend just trying to want to reconnect with their long lost childhood friend, and it's nice and adorable. We don't know exactly kind of what the extent of that yet, because at the end of this episode they just barely met again. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next. Not much else to say. Again, it's another adorable anime. It's another adorable episode that we all just can't wait to see more of.
Yep.
All right, and now this one. Oh boy, we got a lot to say about this one. Majo no Tabitabi, Journey of Elaina, episode 9. Alright, so this is the game that we play. Is this going to be a disturbing episode, or is this going to be a happy episode? And yeah, we pretty much got our answer as soon as the episode started, because it literally gave us a message saying viewer discretion is advised if you're a younger viewer. So kind of already solidifies that this is going to be a disturbing episode. Finally, about time too, because we haven't got one of those in a while. But yeah, so it kind of all starts off innocently enough. Elaina has no money. She's hungry. She's got no money, and she needs money fast. Thankfully, a newspaper blows in her face, and she's given an opportunity. She's like, "Oh shoot, I can get money real fast, and all I gotta do is just go to this place. They need a witch. I'm a witch. I can help with that." And so she meets up with a girl named Estelle. And they talk, and it's again, it starts off again innocently enough. They talk about how they both started as witches. Elaina talks about how she's gonna be 18 soon. She started off being a witch when she was 14, and then Estelle's like, "Oh, I started when I was 13. Oh no, I started when I was 10, and then I became a witch when I was 13." And then Elena's like, "Oh, but I was a witch in a year. You were a witch in like what, 3 years? How old are you right now? You're 19? Oh, I'm 18." Estelle's like, okay." But yeah, basically, this is where the disturbing scenes kind of kick in. So Estelle tells Elaina the story of a girl. Her name is Selena. And Selena was a girl from a rich family who was out to go for some shopping. Now, as she was shopping, she happens to find her parents dead on the ground. And apparently, according to the stories, it was because of a robber that came into the house. Wanted to loot some stuff, obviously, but then ended up stabbing her parents repeatedly. Now, again, thankfully, Selena was not around when this happened. She was out shopping, but because of the fact that she has no parents, she was sent off to her uncle. Her uncle was, unfortunately, very abusive. She had a very rough childhood living with him, and so eventually she snaps, and she ends up killing her uncle. After she killed her uncle, she then goes off and goes on a murderous rampage. She finds that lust for blood that she found when killing her uncle, and just goes off and becomes a murderer. And so she eventually does get captured by Estelle herself after she became a fully fledged witch, and she was executed by her. And because of that, she always had that deep-rooted regret that she committed 3 years ago, that act, and she wants to make a better life for her. So what does this story have to do with Elaina and the job that she's doing? Well, time travel. The point of the goal now.
By any chance, did you say the reason why she wants to go?
Yeah, I was gonna explain why
later on.
Yeah. So time travel. Now, why time traveling? Well, because of the fact that Estelle was very close friends with Selena originally. She knew how sweet of a girl she was. She wants her to have a life where she can be able to, where she doesn't have to worry about anything that happened. She doesn't want she wants her loving family to stay alive and her to have a better life. And so she wants to go back in time, catch the robber, and make sure none of that tragedy ever happens with her. So, and that's why she wants to recruit Elaina, because Elena's a witch and she needs to have reserves of magic so she can be able to properly perform this trick. Because unfortunately, time magic is a very complicated matter and actually requires a lot of magic. And obviously, with the world of Majo no Tabitabi, they've already established that great magic requires a good amount of sacrifice. We saw one with memories, and then we also saw one with speech. And this one requires blood, which is not great. So Estelle literally uses her blood to basically power her time traveling device, and with it, she obviously needs Elena's help as a backup reserve, so the two can go back in time, go to the exact moment when the robber comes in.
At that point, she had no magic.
Yeah. She has no magic. She barely had enough to go to go back in time anyway. And so in order to basically have enough magic to kind of do what she needs to do, she has Elaina wear a matching pair of rings as her, so that way they could be able to that way she could be able to have that reserve of magic. That way they could be able to daisy chain each other with their reserves of magic, so that Estelle isn't like completely just lost or anything. So they go back in time, and Elena's like, wow, I get to check out how this town used to look like 10 years ago. That's awesome. Unfortunately, they don't have enough time for sightseeing because the time limit is only an hour. That's all the time that Estelle was able to come up with, and so they use that time in order to go forth. And as they were going forth, she explains that Elaina asks, like, hey, what's gonna happen to the timeline if we save Selena? Like, isn't that gonna mess up like this world or anything like that? How is this gonna affect me coming here? And she's like, well, it isn't, because I already figured out that we go off of a parallel timeline. So if I affect anything in this timeline, then our timeline's not going to be affected, because whatever happened in our timeline already happened.
It looked funny because it looked like the Back to the Future thing.
Yeah. It does kind of, yeah. And it was, and then she explained that, like, then what's the point of having us go, because Selena's still gonna be dead in our timeline. And Estelle explains, well, I understand that, but if I do this action here, then it'll be fine, because at least Selena at least there'll be a timeline where Selena is going to be okay, and that's what she cares about. And as they go off, she finds Selena and then immediately gives Selena a hug. And obviously Selena, she doesn't understand what's going on. I was like, wait, what are you doing? It's like, are you those weird perverts that they explain? She's like, no, I'm just so glad that you're here. It was heartwarming. It was absolutely heartwarming to see that, to see her old friend and everything, not be as messed up or anything as she saw in her own timeline. So with that resolve, she goes in. She enacts a plan. She wants to get her parents out of there, obviously, so that way the robber doesn't come in and see two potential victims to stab. And as Elaina is just kind of keeping watch, making sure Selena comes back to the house, she notices that her ring is acting up. It shows that Estelle is in combat currently, and so she goes off.
I noticed in the background there was dripping blood.
Yeah, there was Estelle looks like she wasn't having a good time, fighting off this assailant. And as she goes into the alleyway where Estelle was, it turns out that this robber, and Elaina figured it out pretty much too little too late. This robber was actually Selena. It was actually her when she was a little girl. And so that missing piece of the puzzle wasn't the fact that it was a robber that killed off, that stabbed the parents. It was actually her. And it was a lot of deep-rooted betrayal in that sense. The reason why Selena did what she did, a lot of it was to do with the fact that because even though her parents and her had this kind of idealistic family, it was actually because her dad was actually an abusive, molesting asshole. Her mom was also very abusive as well, and so she couldn't take any more of that, and so she snapped.
I guess the reason how I received it was pretty much the dad really liked the daughter, and the mom hated what was it? It was
jealousy.
Jealousy, yeah.
It was messed up. It was messed up stuff, and apparently Selena was messed up in the head pretty much even before any of that happened. So with all of that being said, Estelle was also on the ground too. She obviously took a lot of damage as well. At first I thought she died too, but turns out she was still alive, barely hanging in there, but furious, understandably furious, because she said that everything that she's been doing, her best friend, her actual literal best friend, was always a monster. Enraged her. She was furious, and so she was pretty much dead set on killing Selena again. And as she's doing it, Selena again, she's nuts in the head. She's just like, "Oh, you're Estelle. Oh my God, you're killing me."
It looked like the show you watched, or we watched together.
Oh, which one?
The one that came out this season. The one that we skipped over.
Higurashi?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She had that insane face.
Yeah, she was insane. Like, she was cuckoo crazy, and she was just mentioning how, like, she was being killed off and everything, and she's having a great time. Like, she doesn't care. And, like, literally, like, Estelle, like, at the end, she literally has her in a chokehold, and you can see, like, her face is all bloodied up, and, like, he's missing a tooth and everything, and she's missing teeth, and she's, like, literally getting, like, her head about to, like, just snap off. And right at the last moment, Elena's like, "Okay, you know what? We're not doing this. I'm taking the ring off. You're not gonna have enough magic to even do this." But Estelle literally continued on, even without the reserves of magic, even without any of her actual magic that she would have had she not done the time traveling. She still did what she had to do, and she still cut off her head. The same maneuver that she did with her present timeline self, she did it here.
She used she didn't do that, but she'd used the guillotine.
Oh, okay, yeah, guillotine, yeah.
Guillotine,
yeah. So the hour is up. They go back to their own time, and it's revealed that the reason why she was still able to cut off Estelle's Selena's head was because Estelle sacrificed her own memories, all of her memories of Selena and just everything in general, to basically do what she had to do. And Elaina, even though there was a big pile of money right there, she didn't take it. Obviously, has something to do with the PTSD that she got from seeing all that. She leaves, and that's how the episode ends. It was left up on a tragedy, and Elaina was witness to all of it. That's the messed up part. And yeah, this was an episode to unpack. It was, it was arguably, I'd say, like, I think David agrees to this one too, but arguably probably the best episode in the whole series so far.
Yo.
It was so heavy and was done really well. The animation was amazing, and yeah, it does not hold its punches. Like that warning that it gave from the beginning of the episode is, yeah, young viewers advised, just held off pretty well. But anyway, without further ado, I know I can keep talking about this episode all day, but we don't have all day we got other anime to talk about, so we're gonna move on to Sigrdrifa, episode 8.5. It's a recap episode. There's not much else to go off of. It literally recaps the beginning of the series up to the point where Amatsuka is KIA, and the crew has to do a counterattack. It's the same thing. It's just a recap. So we're skipping this one, and we're moving on to I'm standing on a million lives, episode 9. And this episode, Yotsuya and not Yotsuya, but Cavil, does the remaining deed and revenge. She's actually alive, and the two guard dudes are they're surprised, and they die.
They get slashed up.
They get slaughtered, and their heads are delivered in boxes. Dark stuff, but like the episode itself is actually not that dark compared to last episode. We also see the king, who like how David put it, it was like a discount looking king.
Yep.
So he orders, I guess, his top magician or whatever, his top sorcerer, to basically take out the heroes. And this dude, the magician himself, is a sinister looking dude, but not much else to really go off of. Really, we don't really see him at all. We just see the crew do what they gotta do. Yuka still thinks that Cavil and Yotsuya are a thing, and so she tries to do some. She tries to hook them up. With the only way she knows how was through her visual novels, her dating sims, and it's just it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. It's just cringe inducing, if anything, because she's just an otaku that's like thinking, it's just like my Tsubasa. Oh my god, my Tsubasa. It's just stupid. And then she also has a Shota fetish too, because she sees like one of the victims and stuff. The little boy, she's like, oh my god, it's a little boy. Stupid. But yeah, so none of that really goes anywhere. They still take the kids, the prisoners over. They drop them off at a local church, and they do the delivery that they gotta do with the heads. And that part of the game is cleared, because even though they weren't delivering those 3 traders or whatever to that other kingdom, they were still able to deliver the heads of a kingdom over to them. So in the end, everything worked out pretty well. The only thing they gotta do is just discover 5% of the map, and then the mission's cleared, and they got a day and a half to do it. Oh, and I guess while Cavil, Yuka, and Yotsuya were doing their thing, Iu and Kusue were also trying to acquire more vehicles by threatening some locals over there, and they were able to get what they need. And that was pretty much how the episode ends. It was not. There was stuff that happened, but there wasn't a lot of. Oh, and I guess we see more. We hear more of like Bimsberg. The dude that passed away two episodes ago. We get to hear more of what happened, about him, and how Cavil was. The reason why Yuka was led on to think that Cavil had a thing for Yotsuya was because of the fact that Cavil was appreciative Yotsuya and what he did with by avenging Binsberg.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that's how the episode ends. Again, there's stuff that happened. They got a mission clear. Not a lot of much else to go off of. Just some standard mission clear stuff, and that was it. And now we move on to the anime The Day I Became a God, episode 8. And this one is a pure Odin episode, Hina. We get to, because again, last episode we saw that the boy, the white-haired boy, found the book of the professor with a picture of young Hina. And this time we get to see more of Hina's backstory. Hina has a nightmare with involving her grandpa. And it's revealed that Yota's parents actually knew Hina's grandpa, and the reason being was because apparently Hina's grandpa was actually Yota's parents' mentor, and because of that, that's how they knew him. And so they pretty much knew from the beginning that if anything happens to Hina, to make sure to take her in. So that actually justifies a lot of the first episode on why Yota was like, wait, why are we taking in this little girl that we have no idea about? So that actually justifies that immensely.
Yep.
And so of course Yota's parents, knowing pretty much everything about Hina, tells Yota about what the whole deal is with her, what her dad is up to, what her mom was up to. Again, mom passed away, but dad's still around. Dad started a new family and everything, and they say it so casually too. Yota's like, what? Okay, why is he starting a family, but like why is her daughter like still here? What's going on with that? So he asks Hina's like, hey, do you with your powers, you know where your dad is? She's like, yeah, I know where my dad is. Oh, but you want to know how I became God? I became a god like 338 days ago. So she was more excited about like explaining how she was about God more than her dad. But yeah, so Yota, being the good boy that he is, decides to take Hina over to see her dad. And dad at first was not acknowledging the body right there anyway, and it was really funny too, because Yota legit thought, wait.
Yeah, we were both confused.
Yeah, it was like, wait, is Hina invisible to them? What's going on? I was thinking that like the parents or whatever were like never there to begin with, and that's what Yota was thinking in the first place. But no, it was he can see him. He just had no idea who she was. And he was like, this is Hina Sato. That's your daughter. And then the mom that was about to bring teas and snacks and stuff legit just dropped her plate, and she was just like, no, I don't want to deal with that, no. And so she's just like literally breaking down in front of the dad. And basically they were kicked out. Dad, has obviously had to come out to kind of explain to Yota as to what's going on. And it turns out Hina actually has a disease called Logo Syndrome. And what Logo Syndrome is that it's a disease that affects your muscular system, your muscular system, your brain, your thoughts, everything. And people afflicted with Logo Syndrome don't typically get to live that long. And at the time when Hina's dad dropped her off, Hina actually didn't have much time left, in fact. So everything being said, there was no way that she was supposed to survive anything that was going on. And because of that, he mentions that eventually you'll see what we're talking about, that Hina is not going to have much time left. And you'll do the same thing. And so I was thinking, wait, how does that make sense? You literally abandon your daughter, start a family, and just pretend that she's never around in the first place. Like, how does that make sense? So obviously Yota's upset. And we're upset too as the audience. We're like, wait, you're her biological dad. You're still around. I get that her mom, committed suicide after finding out what happened, but like, you're still around. You can take responsibility of your own daughter. But I guess that's not happening. So, and the funny thing was that Hina even knew it in the first place. She was like, I only came here because you wanted to come here. So that's kind of all it is. So, yeah, in the end, Yota is like, okay, we'll still take care of you. And then that kind of gives us insight as to kind of what the end of the world might mean. So us as the audience, for me and David, we're thinking might have something to do with Hina's condition. But yeah, we'll just we'll wait and see. And then the episode ends off with Yota and Hina going to a hot springs trip and playing Space Invaders and stuff like that. So it's great stuff to end off of, but still kind of gives us a little bit of worry as to what this end of the world stuff might mean. So
Yep.
We'll have to wait and see. All right, now the next anime we're gonna be talking about is Taisō-Zamurai, episode 8, and this one, at first I thought it was gonna be more gymnastics, because we get to see a little. Actually, I thought it was gonna be like a flashback episode entirely, because we see flashbacks of Jotaro trying to perfect the Aragaki, and which is of course his last name and everything, and he's still doing what he's doing. He tumbles over a bit, and then we cut over to present day, where the Aragaki, as it was supposed to be a 3-flip maneuver, this time he's trying to perfect a 4-flip maneuver. So we're seeing advancements on that, but at the same time, as after everything is said and done, after all the training and stuff ends, we see Leo practicing his ballet at the studio, at the gymnastics, at the gym itself. And Jotaro's like, hey, I didn't know you were like had a thing for ballet. So if after we're all done, you can continue your dancing. He's like, yay, Joe, yay! So he does this. So we see like montage of like Jotaro doing his gymnastics, Leo practicing his ballet after everybody's gone, and Jotaro's just like watching and stuff. And that's not actually the main focus of the episode. The main episode was actually, of course, it's a Rei episode, and it's actually Rei. After the last episode where Rei gets introduced to Kitty, turns out that Kitty is coming over to Japan, and she wants to see Rei and hang out, girl time. So they come in. Turns out Kitty won the gold medal, and she wants to celebrate with her best friend Rei. And so they go out, they do some shopping, they eat some parfait, they take pictures, and it's all just a grand old time. Like, it was fantastic. And it was funny too, because like as they're eating sweets and stuff, you also see the little boy, one of the bullies that was originally bullying Rei. She's like, what? Who's that? And then like his mom is like right there. She's like, oh, you have some cute friends. Come on, let's go talk with them. He was just embarrassed. So that was really funny. And then as Kitty comes over, to Jotaro's house and everything, she immediately recognizes Leo. She's like, wait a minute, I know who you are. You're Leonardo. You're the famous ballerina dancer, or you're the famous ballet dancer. And he does not want to acknowledge her at all. Like, pretty much the whole time right after she figured out who he was, he was basically uncomfortable throughout the whole time when Kitty was staying over. And so like even when they were like even when they were hanging out at the room, like Rei also like Googles Leo and finds out that Leo's actually really famous ballet dancer and everything like that. And then she mentions how she's really into ninjas and how she's really into movies and stuff, and that kind of gives and so like as she's mentioning that, Kitty also mentions that like after she's done with gymnastics, she wants to move on and be an idol. She wants to be an idol. That's kind of like, that's kind of her passion that she's kind of foreseeing. And she mentions that like, hey, when I was your age, I didn't know I was going to win a gold medal or anything. That's what I wanted. But here I am. I won a gold medal, and now I want to be an idol. that's my new passion. And so that kind of sparked a little bit of inspiration for Ray. And so the next day when Kitty leaves, she immediately runs after Kitty. She says, "Hey, Kitty, I want to be an actress. I want to be a famous actress. I know up until now I've just been into movies and ninjas and stuff, but now I want to take this seriously. I want to be a famous actress just like my mom." And yeah, that's how the episode ends. It gives us insight on Ray looking towards her future, and just everything in general. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, we get to hear from everyone at this point.
All right, now the next anime we're going to be tackling is Talentless Nana, episode 9. And in this episode, we're already right here. Nana already killed somebody. Multiple people, yeah. So okay, so I guess like the first one she killed was some dude or whatever, who I guess she killed a while ago. And their corpse was like pretty much decomposed right on the message screen right there. And as that happened, he contacts a teleporter, who literally teleports right back into a room where Nana was waiting for, and then immediately kills her right there. And we're just cut right here to where basically everybody, Kyoya, Michiru, the fire and ice guys, and like 2 other randos are right there in the room, just like right there, like, oh my god, a dead body. And again, Michiru trying to protect Nana and everything like that. Yeah, so all that's going on. However, that's not the main point of the episode, because the main point comes in a little later, where she's kind of doing her own thing. And turns out Michiru is actually not who she says she is. She has a box cutter right to Nana's throat, and she's like, I can slice her throat right now if I want to. So yeah, it turns out Michiru is actually an imposter. Oh no. So Nana grabs Michiru's arm and just like tries to just like hold her down and everything. And Michiru's not having any of that. She's like, I'll figure out your real power, your real talent. I know you don't know how to mind read, because I'm thinking of something else and you can't even think of what I'm thinking of. So yeah, so Michiru finds out about that, and she's pretty much just trying to blackmail her throughout the whole thing, just trying to get info off of her, just trying to figure out what she's trying to pull. And then in the end, we cut to the cliff that the very first episode is the same cliff that everybody keeps going to for whatever reason. And yeah, it's revealed that this is actually not Michiru, but it's actually a shapeshifter. Shapeshifter takes actual form, and then here we see Senpai. I don't think he has an actual name. I don't think it was revealed in the anime, so we're just gonna call him Senpai for now, because he mentions that he's a bit older. He's been in the island for the past 5 years with the class of 5 years ago, and he mentions that when my class was doing their thing, it was actually a battle royale. Everybody was killing each other. We didn't need them fancy assassins to kill us off one by one. We just did it. We just did it ourselves.
No.
So and yeah, it turns out that this guy, the shapeshifter dude, was actually the last remaining survivor. And when he flew away from the island, went back home, and turns out that they were already doing his funeral. And so he flew away like a bird he was back to the island to basically take roost. And that was kind of the end of his story. And so he wants to kind of help Nana out. He's like, okay, so you do this for me. We'll make sure we're in a mutual agreement and everything. But of course, there's nothing really in it for Nana. So she's like, okay, what's in it for me? He's like, oh, I don't know. Takes a sip of his coffee, and bam, is killed right there poison coffee does our dude in real good. However, it's actually revealed that his true ability was not even transformation. It was actually every single talent that he's ever come across. Immortality, transformation, ice abilities, healing abilities, fire abilities, all of those abilities, all compacted into one, makes up our senpai. I also want to mention that before we end things off with this episode, that senpai was actually been in the series for pretty much a while, because with this transformation ability, he was actually able to keep himself transformed as the cat. And he mentions that, yeah, Nana, you're not exactly as hardened as I thought you were, because you still come over here to save me, to save little old me. So what's going on? So I guess it's kind of insinuating that there's a deeper layer to Nana's personality that she even says she is. So she might not be as hard-boiled as she might think she is. And of course, by the end of this episode, it also gives us an ultimate antagonist, which is of course Senpai here. And yeah, that's how the episode ends. So it makes things way more interesting now, because now instead of just Kyoya versus Nana, we also have this senpai who's basically like a third party that kind of knows everything. So who knows how this whole thing goes? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
And now we move on to our next anime, Dragon Quest Dai's Adventure, episode 9. And Dai survives!
Oh, God.
Crocodine's attack. Yeah, Dai and Mom both survive. They're still not looking too good, though, because even though they took a direct hit off of that blast, they're not looking too good. Mom, Dai's still barely able to move. And Mom gets up, tries to shoot him with her heal gun, but she's stopped by the tentacle goon thingy, and she's immobilized right there. So yeah, things are not looking too great. Crocodile has the upper hand, and Pop literally says that he can't do anything. He's trapped the way he is, and he can't do anything. But thankfully, the old mage from the fake heroes party is like, hey, I get that you can't do anything, we're thieves ourselves, but you still have a future. You're Avon student. You can do this. And so we actually hear a pep talk from like the goons.
What?
Yeah. We actually hear a pep talk from one of the goons, like from one of the fake heroes' own like party members, and that was surprising. He actually gives him a pep talk like, yo, you go ahead, you save your friends. It's not over for you, it's over for me, because I did the same thing you did, and here I am now. I'm with a fake party, but you still have a future. You can still do this. So he motivates Pop, and Pop bursts and runs off and saves our boy, saves Dai. And so he goes in and he's like, I'm gonna face you, Crocodile. It's you and me, let's go. So he does everything. He even does a kafriz with no avail, but then he has a plan. He goes in with his wand. He tries to whack him with it. It shatters, but that's exactly what he wants, because he shoots all the little pieces from his wand to make a pentagram and forms the barrier spell.
Yeah, it was the same one from Avon.
Yeah, like holy or whatever it was. Yeah, so it's supposed to. Yeah, so it's basically it wards off the evil that Gramps is going through right now, and he's like, wait, where am I? What? Oh no, die! So he explains. So Pop explains everything that happened, and Brass is kind of in that state, but he's okay. And now
but you can't get out.
You can't get out. So Dai is still immobilized, and Crocodile is just like, what am I fighting for? Basically, because he threw away his pride, but he's like, at what cost? He's doing this, and so he tries to give Pop an honorable death. But thankfully, Gomechi comes in with the save, does his crying tears, and crying tears actually saves Dai. He actually kills him up to full, and Dai then goes Ultra Instinct on Crocodile. He's like, no, you're your fight is with me. And then Crocodile gives one last standoff against Dai, but Dai is not having any of that. He goes one arm, like unarmed. He faces off, and then right when Crocodile goes for his ultimate attack, Pop throws in a sword to Dai, and Dai catches all cool and does his famous avant strash, and yeah, he finishes off Crocodile. But right before that, Crocodile's like, this is the way for me to win. And then he like, if I were to lose, this I've done it. I've done the honorable death and stuff like that. And then he takes his fall. His eagles catch him, and they all retreat. And the day is saved. Dai wins, and Mom's okay too. But here's the thing: what about the king? What about the king? We didn't see again. Okay.
Oh God.
No, but yeah, no, the day's saved, so everything's a-okay, and so obviously the bad guys have to think of something else. But yeah, everything's a-okay. All right, now we move on to the next anime, Jujutsu Kaisen Sorcery Fight. We get a little bit more. Episode 9. We get more of a insight regarding as to what happened with the theater and the kids in general that got their face all deformed and stuff. And it turns out they were actually bullies that were bullying this kid named Junpei. Yeah, they were not nice people. They at first it basically all started with a girl just claiming that, like, oh, he was looking at my boobs and stuff, and the guy's like, "Whoa, are you serious? Oh my God, you're such a perv!" And they use that excuse to just beat him up and stuff. And yeah, it definitely gets Junpei down on the dumps, because he's just like, what did I do to deserve this? I didn't do anything. And he was just going in, casually wanting to watch a movie by himself, and it just so happens that those three bullies were there too, making an absolute scene out of themselves, because they were talking, they were being disruptive, and they were just being mean all around. Like, they were being like absolute assholes in the theater, and he was just not having any of that. But then thankfully Mahito, the dude that was like, the white hair and everything, he comes in and he kills them off. He's like, "You're welcome. You can now watch your movie in peace." So the movie ends, and then he immediately darts off from the theater, and he's like, he chases Mahito. He's like, "Hey, what did you do? Mahito's like, "Hey, they didn't seem that important. They seemed to me that
are they important to you?
Yeah, did you it seems, are they really that important to you?" And he's just thinking, "No, not really. I mean, after everything that they did, I wasn't really a big fan of what they were doing." But obviously Yuji and Nanami, the other mentor that Gojo,
that guy's fun,
introduces him to. Yeah, Nanami's cool. He's an ex-salary man and ex Jujutsu sorcerer, and he mentions that
his job sucks.
And Nanami is like, he hates Jujutsu. He hates Jujutsu sorcerers, but he also hates being a salaryman. And of the two things that he hates more, he hates the salaryman part more. And that's why he came back. So he's really cool. He's very extra, and that's what makes him great. And so him and Yuji explore the theater. They find out kind of what happened, and they mentions like, yeah, this is definitely a curse. That's the reason why these guys' faces are all deformed and stuff. And afterward, they also found 2 curses that were up on a random rooftop that they have to fight. And so as they were both each taking on one of the curses, Nanami explains to Yuji on how to properly take him down. And like, it was mid-fight too, so he's doing his fight, and then Yuji, it's really funny, Yuji's like kind of trying to focus on like, well, it's like What? I can't concentrate. I'm trying to fight this guy right here.
It's funny because it feels like a training montage in a way.
Yeah. And Nanami explains like how he has his own like methods and how he can like be able to cut down like curses and stuff, and he does it like with accurate precision and stuff like that, and he even does it with like the brunt end of like a knife. That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. And then he does it, and then right when Yuji like does his ultimate like his attack where he's able to concentrate his energy into his hands and just like immediately explode like the other curse's heart. It kind of looks sad too because like the curse that he blew up is like crying and stuff,
and then he told him to stop.
Yeah, he's like, stop. Yeah, and then Nanami tells him to stop because he realizes that the arms that he cut off from the curse are actually kind of human because it has a watch. And yeah, so they take those two curses over to a corner. Well, they're not really curses, they're people, to a corner, and it turns out that their whole physiology have been entirely altered. Yeah. And the reason why is because it was done by someone. It was done by somebody else, and thankfully Yuji's like upset because he was like, "Oh shoot, I killed a person. I didn't mean to do that." But no, thankfully the coroner said that it's they were already dead. It was just their residual kind of what should I put it? Their mental states, I guess, was basically making them act like they were. So you're fine.
So other than regular sorcerers, there's anti-sorcerers?
Yeah, they're curse users. That's what they're called. So they pinpoint exactly what happened with with using the surveillance cameras, and they notice the same kid, Junpei, leave the theater, and they notice them. Okay, so he's most likely not a curse user, but we should probably just tail him anyway and keep an eye on him. And so him and Nanami, they go. Oh no, not Nanami, but the other mentor. They go off, and Yuji has a box full of goodies, the good old-fashioned curses, and they tail Junpei, and then that's how the episode ends. So at first, we saw Junpei a little bit, on the opening credits and stuff, and we're like, okay, so he feels kind of like a anti kind of hero character. So we'll see how that goes. Then again, we said the same thing for Inca too, so look what happened with that in Fire Force. We'll see. All right, now we move on to anime news. And hey, speaking of Jujutsu Kaisen, Jujutsu Kaisen is actually getting an English dub. Yup. But the reason why this is more newsworthy than anything else is because this one is being dubbed by HBO Max. The dub itself is going to be available on HBO Max, and it kind of shows us that HBO Max is kind of doing their own initiative on the anime dubbing scene.
Funny thing is, it's gonna have 4 dubs.
Oh shoot, really?
Yes. The English one, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and German.
Oh, so they're doing the Netflix approach, because Netflix does that too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So we get 5 whole dubs available for Jujutsu Kaisen, only on HBO Max. We're not sponsored by them, but that's cool. And then the last piece of news that we're going to be talking about is My Hero Movie 3, The Three Musketeers, or I think that might be the working title, but yeah.
I think so.
So you guys, since the pilot, we pretty much mentioned on our thoughts on like My Hero Movie 2 and stuff like that, and yeah, we're still excited for Movie 3. It's gonna be exciting. It looks like the 3 main characters in this one is gonna be.
Well, we also. To make sure to tell everyone, we seen the first one as well.
We did, yeah. We saw the first one pretty much when it premiered, and same thing with the second. Well, no, not the second one. We didn't see the premiere for the second one.
No,
that one was impossible to get into.
Yeah.
But we saw the premiere for the first one, and then the second one we were able to see in theaters and everything. So
yeah,
that one worked out great. And then so with this new movie 3. 3 main characters in this one are going to be Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki.
Omar told me that it might be even more ahead.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because the second movie even was like they were closer to the manga. It was more in line with where the manga was more than the anime. So that was really cool. But yeah, so we'll keep an eye out for this new movie and give you guys more insight as to kind of when it's going to be releasing and stuff like that, and kind of looking at what's going on with it. All right, and that's it for this week's Anime Squad podcast episode. Be sure to like the video, comment the video, and subscribe if you guys want to see more content like this. And we're super cool also. Like always, my name is Robbie.
And this is David.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.